We have created policies in this country that make it nearly impossible for us to do so. Those life experiences are critical to being an effective policymaker in this climate. Sure, you got to make tough decisions, but you don't make those on the backs of the people who are less fortunate. You don't ask the middle class to do more, and you don't pretend that the very social programs that we're talking about haven't in fact lifted a great many Americans out of poverty.
Ms. Arnold-Jones.
I was so blessed to be married to a man in the Navy. Having served all over the world, having traveled all over the world, it adds one additional dimension to my representation of you in Congress. You have to have a very broad view before you push that button, you push that lever, yes or no, on anything, because context is everything. And when it comes to affecting New Mexicans, it is so important to understand that context. So I will stand here and make one promise to you, and it is the same promise I had in the New Mexico legislature. Before I vote, I will read the bill. I will read the bill. And that is a promise to you because that is causing us problems. Thank
you. This will be the final question before closing. And it will go to Ms. Arnold-Jones first. Please give us your views on immigration policy, and please try to touch on path to citizenship or amnesty, provisions known as the DREAM Act, and the President's recent decision to not enforce the laws on the books against a certain category of people.
So let's start with the Constitution. As your member of Congress, and I don't care which law it is, but it is inappropriate for the executive to suspend laws of the United States without going back to Congress. End of story. Now, with regard to immigration, we have got to change the discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, the numbers are 12 million, 20 million. We as a country chose not to enforce our laws. Why is that? Laws are only as good as the ones that are being enforced. So we have a problem. I have friends that I grew up with on South Broadway whose parents came here easily 60 years ago. They are here illegally. They're in their 80s. Would you have me send them back on a bus? Are you kidding me? So, I'm going to throw out some ideas to you because I think we have to change the discussion. I am not in favor of amnesty. I do not believe in breaking the law, but I do know when you are faced with tough problems, there has to be other solutions. So let me throw one out for you. What if we set up a period that says, okay, time to raise your hand. If you are here illegally, come forward and decide to be an American citizen. And I have to tell you what, at the end of the day, I want people to want the American dream. I want them to be American citizens. When it takes them 9 years to get there, I am wondering what we're doing. Have them go through citizenship. But I can't just say head-of-the-line privileges. So in this instance, might another course be to withhold the right to vote for a period, say 5 years? Is that a possibility? But let's think about our children. The sins of the parents should never be visited on the children. So children who are here, not of their own accord, what if we offer to them citizenship classes in high school, so when they walk across the stage, a degree and a citizenship statement?
Ms. Grisham.
I think this country, it's really time that we have comprehensive immigration policy in place so that we can end the small debates and start embracing the big picture. The DREAM Act is a very important step that this administration has taken to make sure that we protect the children who, through no decision or effort of their own, who have been in this country for years, participating meaningfully in their schools and their communities. And they absolutely, knowing no other country, deserve to know this as their country and deserve to be citizens. Immigration policy should have three things that we're looking at. One, there ought to be a pathway to legal citizenship for the more than 12 million undocumented workers and their families. And it must be an equitable and fair process that doesn't say that you get to skip to the front of the line, but also doesn't create such tough standards that they never are achievable. And we've got to make sure that any immigration policy addresses real border security. And it shouldn't just be on our land borders. We have border security and security issues in our harbors. We have issues with air traffic. We've got to be pretty clear about our security efforts and interests. And third, we have to hold businesses accountable who continue to recruit and hire undocumented workers. And the last thing that we need to be mindful of, that when we don't have an immigration policy that's meaningful or makes sense, we're also limiting this country's ability in a worldwide economy. There are individuals and experts that we need that could help us on a variety of economic interests. There are healthcare issues. There are scientists and researchers. We should be sharing in those investments. So I think it's an effective economic interest as well.
Ms. Arnold-Jones, rebuttal?
Not so much rebuttal, but addition. You know, I look at various processes by various departments, and the only other agency that is more complicated than the IRS and the tax code is the Immigration Division. And we have got to change this, and I want to bring to your attention that it kind of goes both ways. I want to share a story about a friend of mine, Natalie, who is married to an American serviceman. She came here on a student visa. She got married. She thought she was going to automatically be a U.S. citizen. Not so. She had a child, an American child. And she raised her hand, she did the right things, they sent her back to her country. We often forget that other countries have a say over their citizens. And so for this woman, it took her 2 years to get back. But she took that American child overseas with no idea of whether or not she would get back. So this is really a complicated problem, but it is time to make some changes and make it enforceable.
Ms. Longerson?
Probably the thing I didn't include in my initial response is this is also 12 million individuals who will be paying their fair share of taxes. And again, creating an environment where we are bringing revenues into the federal government so that we can have thoughtful, proactive, progressive, immediate responses to many of the financial issues that we have discussed here today.
Thank you. Before we go to closings, I'd like to mention that this is being recorded on KANW-FM 89.1, and it will be broadcast tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Is that correct, Mr. Bradford? Correct. So if you would like to hear this again, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I also want to thank both candidates for your thoughtful, civil, respectful answers, your presence here today. It's hard to be a candidate. Those of us in the media can make it tough on you, but our system depends on people being willing to step out there and do what you're doing. So thank you. And with that, we'll go to closings, and Ms. Arnold-Jones, you're first.
Michelle and I share many of the same serious concerns: jobs, the economy, making sure that we're meeting the basic medical needs of our community. What you have heard today are some of the very significant differences between my opponent and me. Tax inequities, how we get people back to work, and I suspect, although we didn't get there, how we manage our debt. So the question for you is, which of the two moms on this stage is best able to improve American productivity and get our economy working again? Now, I suspect that this mom is going to advocate for bigger government and larger debt. This mom is interested in leadership that will improve our economy and improve American productivity. So, we have many choices, but I want to remind you that there are wonderful things in the state of New Mexico that we can take care of. We are blessed to live in the state of New Mexico, where we have natural resources, we have construction, we have agriculture, we have timber, we have oil and gas, we have wind and sun, we have everything we need. We have technology and we have great minds. We can make changes. We have exactly what we need to create wealth and prosperity for our state and for our nation. Right here, right now. We can do this. I am Janice Arnold-Jones. Step into the future with me. Send me to Washington.
Thank you, and I appreciate your excellent job, Mr. Waltz, at moderating. That's not easy either, and I want to thank again Congregation Albert Brotherhood and Rabbi Rosenfeld, because this is the kind of opportunity that candidates need to talk about who we are and what we'll do. And while I absolutely appreciate being identified as a mom, because I'll tell you, I was thinking about an example for courage, and being a mother in any climate takes real courage and effort. But I have other examples, not the least of which is having the courage in government to take responsibility for one of the worst nursing homes in the state, getting my administrator's license, taking it over directly, inviting the Department of Justice in, and then turning it into one of the best nursing homes in the state. Conviction, going up against the drug companies to take mercury out of flu vaccine for children. Integrity, cleaning up county government, making sure that the good old boy efforts of the past are completely removed for the present. We can't have a stagnant environment. Things are not okay, but we have to be thoughtful, strategic, compassionate, effective. I spent my career being effective, strategic, compassionate, with real results, from county government to the Department of Health to the State Agency on Aging to creating a small business after my husband died. And one of as the recession was just beginning. I know what it takes to get things done and to have a real record of accomplishment. People are tired of waiting. We're frustrated. I'm frustrated. I think it's time that Congress remembered who it is that they work for. They work for us. I want to work for us. I ask for that partnership. I ask for that vote. I ask for your support. I'd like to be the next Congresswoman from the great state and the great district, Congressional District 1. Thank you very much.
There's some keys that are in the office. Has anyone lost any keys? I would like to thank the candidates, Janice Arnold-Jones and Michelle Grisham. Thank you very much.
Yes, I have all the answers. And either of you are welcome to ask me, and I'll be happy to give them to you. Yeah, just ask anyone who hangs out here. I'm always right. No, seriously, thank you to both of you, to both candidates. Yes, you're both moms, so congratulations on that. I'm not, so. This is not a political endorsement in any way, shape, or form, but I know you have to leave for your daughter's wedding shower, so congratulations. And is there some life cycle that you'd like to share so we can